Now, we are, I appreciate y'all coming out today. It's just hard to believe we're 9 days away from the official start to the 13-14 season. A lot of expectations, finally a lot of healthy players. For us to start a year with only one player out for the year is the best we've done here in the past about 6 years. So Sharon Bales, just to start off, Sharon Bales will not play this season. She's going to take a red shirt year, rehab her knee that she had surgery on in the off season. She's doing well. She could possibly play if we needed her to in January, but you know, right now we both sat down and decided that the best thing for her would be to just sit out this entire season. She's done a great job in the weight room. She looks great. So there's a lot of promise for her for next year. But with that being said, we do return Asia Taylor, Shantae Dyer, and Tia Gibbs. Tia and Asia are full go right now, doing very well. Shantae is as tolerated. She's coming back from her ACL repair, practicing well, just not out there the entire time. You know, I try to tell my players that are coming back from injury, from rehab, you know your body's better than we do, so make sure you let us know how you're progressing. And she's doing well, just not 100% to practice the entire time. I'm really excited about what this season holds. We're looking at a non-conference schedule that has the potential of being probably the toughest that we've played since we've been here. With that being said, I do believe we have the best team that we've had since we've been here. Is that going to result in the same excitement that we had in 09 and then this past season? I'm not sure. It's all about how we grow as a team, how we come together as a team, and how we're willing to put individual accolades on the side to hopefully do what's best for this 13-14 group, which is what we've done in the past, so I don't expect anything to change from that. With that being said, please ask away.
You have 9 players who started games, and I think a couple others who played a lot last year. I mean, how do you, first of all, talk about having that kind of problem other than only having 6 players total, like a couple years ago?
No.
And then how do you work that out with starting wise, and how do you got the chemistry?
Well, for probably on the 7th of November, we'll probably have the biggest game of rock, paper, scissors that you've seen. So our players will compete against each other, and the last 5 will be our 5 starters. So I'm going to let them compete for that. No, it's a great problem to have, and I've talked to our players about it already. It's you can only start 5. Does it really matter who starts? No. It's what you're going to get done while you're out there. It's not necessarily that you start your best 5 players. I've got to figure out who's going to be the one that gives us a lift off the bench. Who's our best post sub, who's our best guard sub, and our best guard sub might be our best guard. But I've got to make sure that when we do sub that we continue to bring intensity. The great thing about it is I really believe you go 1 through our 11, 12, and it's solid. It's not a drop-off. So we're going to have the opportunity to throw a bunch of players out there. And all I've told them is if you're not playing hard, I've got someone that I can put in for you. But we've not had that problem in practice. They've competed extremely well. So, I mean, it's going to be a balancing act for me, because you definitely want to try to keep them all as happy as you can. But, the one thing we have done well here is make sure we communicate with our players, and they're going to know why they're playing, why they're not, if they want to play, what they have to do to play.
What are the biggest positives that come out of the run from last year and the win over Baylor? Because you got so much attention for that.
Well, I mean, it definitely put us out there on a national stage. I mean, I think we were before from our run in 2009, but it really really puts you in there. You know, it's like I tell everybody, when I first got the job here, you know, when we were out on the recruiting trail against other schools, it was, oh, Jeff's going to do a nice job, you know, he's a good coach. Well, then in 09, it's, well, you know, anybody can go to the Final Four with H. McCautry, you know, because that's what you have to tell them, the recruits that we're now trying to recruit. And then this past year, they don't say much about basketball. It starts turning into, well, look at this, look at that. So you know your program is starting to really make some strides when the people you're competing against are trying to throw negatives against you instead of selling their own program. And that's something that we've experienced a lot this past year, but we've done a really good job of making sure we build relationships with families and recruits and just try to make sure you get, you know, good character people. And that's really what it's allowed us to do, is now we're in the homes of recruits and parents that I think are good character people, that you get a good feel for what you're going to build your program with.
What's the difference, the key to getting over that hump? Not just getting to the paddle game, but, you know, now it's.
Well, I mean, you know, we have to continue to try to add to our recruiting base, which is what we're doing. You know, I mean, it's no secret. I tell everybody, I mean, you've got to try to compete to beat UConn right now. I mean, they're at the top of our game. I mean, they've been to 6 straight Final Fours. I mean, it's not an accident that they do that. And with that, we've got to continue to add players that can help us compete at that level. You know, they're very well coached. They've got great players. So that's our goal right now, is we have to continue to add players into our mix.
Where do you feel like you're improved over last year?
Our depth, our depth is very much improved, which is exciting for me. Adding Tia Gibbs to the team, you know, coming back from her 2 years of injury, her leadership, her knowledge of the game, she talks better than any player that we've had here probably about 4 or 5 years on the court. She knows what she's doing. She gets her teammates involved. You know, it's the things that you don't measure necessarily on a stat sheet that Tia does so well for us.
Physically, is she 100%?
She is.
Or would she ever really truly be 100%?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all relative. For her, she's 100%. Right now, it's going to be a situation where we monitor practice. I mean, can you turn the phone off? I mean, damn. You don't want to have that in red stuff. That's when you know you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Right there. No, she's good. Sorry about that, buddy. No, she's great. I mean, she really is. I mean, does she practice every day 100%? No. You know, I've told her, you're about 28 years old. Okay, I mean, she's going on year 10 in college. So, I mean, she checks IDs at the parties to make sure everybody's of age since she's so old. No, I mean, she knows what's going on. It's a great thing about it. When she's sore, I tell her, sit out. I don't need her running the extra sprints. I mean, there's no sense in that. You know, so there's going to be some games that she's not going to have to play 15 or 20 minutes. You know, if we're in situations where we've got a big lead, there's no sense for me having her out there on the floor and risking an injury. So I do see her being a big part of this team. She has practiced extremely well. She's been shooting the ball well. Defensively, she's got active hands. Does a very nice job of rebounding the ball. So I think she's in a great spot right now. It's going to be up to me to make sure I manage her during games, especially when you're looking at possibly playing on a Sunday, Monday, Thursday. You know, situations where we have 3 games in one day, in 1 week, she's not going to be able to play 25, and 25. So I've got to make sure I know which games I'm really going to need her the most in.
You talk about character and that Coach Dino makes a big deal about the L1C4 and how he changed the brand. You've had a different, not that you've had bad kids before, but I mean, in your time, I mean, it's been different kind of kids. I mean, you've picked the
Well, sure. I
You
mean,
want a different kind of kid.
yeah, well, we've had really good kids here in the past. I mean, but we've relied, like during Angel's time here, we relied a lot on Angel and Candace. You know, you had your focal two that just had to carry the load. You know, Shoney's done a great job for us for 4 years, going into her senior year. But you go back and you look at our run that we made this past year. During 6 NCAA tournament games, I believe we had 4 different leading scorers. Bria Smith was our leading rebounder in 4 of those 6 games. You know, you've got players that can all step up and be a major factor. And I think that's what makes us so hard to prepare for, is you never know who's going to come up and knock down big shots. Antonita Slaughter, you know, shoots the ball as well as she does. I've told her, I said, you know, you can't expect to be left wide open this year. I mean, if everybody doesn't know you're a shooter now, then I'm not sure where they've been. So there's going to be some challenges for her, but she's really worked on putting the ball on the floor now. So she's improved her all-around game. But, you know, we're really excited about players that understand, you know, not everybody can score on this team, because you just don't have enough basketballs to go around. So I have challenged a few of them. You know, it's like I tell them, if you want to be a three-point shooter and you're shooting 25% from the three-point line, I can't play you, because I've got enough three-point shooters that can shoot 35 plus. So if you don't think you can do that, maybe you might need to change your focus to be a rebounder, a defensive stopper, because that's what I've got to find. I've got to find a few of those players that are willing to say, you know what, all I want to do is be on the floor. You put me on the floor, then you've got a chance to score. But I promise you, if you're not in the game, you can't score. So that's what I've been talking to our players about, and some of them are starting to buy into, you know, I'll be a passer. I'll be the best defender at the guard spot that we have. So it's going well. Practice is going well so far.
How much does that make you better? Because I saw Gino made a comment, maybe his best team or one of that year when they were really good, whereas Rossi could score 20, but she only averaged like 14. It was all between 9 and 14 points. So, I mean,
Well,
how much does that make you better?
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world, because it's just like I said, in our run in the NCAA tournament, it's not that Shoney dropped 25 a night. It's you've got 4 or 5 that are scoring between 14 and 10. That you've got a lot of scores. If you've got kids that can score, you're going to win. And I know defense wins championships, but I've yet to see a team win a national championship or get there with the scores in the 40s or 50s. If you can't score, you can't win. I mean, it's what it all comes down to. We can get better defensively, which we will, but it's hard to turn kids into better shooters. I mean, if you're putting up 54 a night, 55 a night, you're most likely eventually going to get beat, because teams that can put the ball in the basket are the ones that win.
How has Shoney's game evolved to this point? What are your expectations for her this year?
I'm expecting a great year from her. She's been practicing extremely well. Just her, you know, her knowledge of the game. It's been a 4-year evolution for her as she continues to grow. She's the kind of player that needs to learn from game experience. So she's, you know, figuring out time and scoring. You know, knowing if you turn the basketball over doing this, you got to make sure you don't come down the floor and do the same thing twice. And that's really where her game has changed. She knows exactly what we're trying to do. If she tries to throw a behind the back pass or a no look, it might happen once, but it's not going to happen twice. And that's really where her game has changed. Just her complete understanding of time and score, what we need at what time.
Was it hard for her to get that national respect than maybe other really good players, because she's at times can be so flashy? And you know, last year even she said she wasn't in shape.
No, she wasn't.
Was it hard? Is it harder for her, or has it been, to get that national respect?
Well, you know, I think she's continuing to develop. It's one of those. I think how she played the NCAA tournament last year really helped her, because it wasn't just scoring the basketball. I mean, the passes she made. You know, she came up with some big boards. You know, she's starting to develop her entire game, and that's what you have to do. If you want to be on the national stage, you've got to be able to do more than one thing. And then you can't have 8 assists that are just unbelievable and then 6 turnovers. You know, so I think she understands that. Our goal for her this year is a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, and I think it's something she can easily obtain.
Jeff, was there ever a time when Tia had considered quitting or anything?
No, I
This
mean,
conversation?
I gave her the opportunity. I told her, I said, Tia, if it was me, I'm not sure I'd keep doing this. I mean, she's just continues to fight through things, but she wanted to have a senior year. She wanted to be able to say, hey, I gave it everything I had. Because, you know, it's, as I say, you get one shot to play college basketball. And, you know, you feel bad for kids that can't finish it on a good note. And she's put the time in, I mean, hours and hours of rehab, just making sure she's taking care of her body. And now she's going out there and she looks great. I mean, so, I mean, again, it's just going to be important that we manage her and make sure we don't put her in positions to where she can start to break down.
What are you looking for from Bria to take that next step this year?
Bria's really worked hard on her 10 to 15 foot pull-up jump shot. For Bria, you know, her first step and her ability to get to the basket's as good as anyone's that I've ever coached, and honestly that I've seen play. But for her to really take her game to that next step, she's got to be able to consistently make a 10 to 15 foot pull-up jump shot, because it's going to be there for her. That first step's so good, people are going to start to back off of her, and she's put the time in the gym. It's gotten better. So I'm really excited about that. And then, you know, she's battling through, you know, her knee, her hip. When she gets hit, she goes down, and she's starting to get a little mentally tougher, which I think is a big step for her. I've always appreciated how well she competes, you know, how hard she plays. But I really expect to see her take that next step and start to be more of a leader on the floor for us, both at the defensive end of the floor as well as the offensive end.
Were you surprised last year what you got out of Jude, and how can she take her game to the next step?
You know what? No, I mean, I truly wasn't. I mean, we watched Jude play a bunch in high school, and it's like I tell people, you can't measure hard. It's not on a recruiting list. It's not on a stat sheet. And then her basketball IQ is as high as anyone that I've coached. Jude's a competitor. That's what she is. I mean, you know, she's small in stature, but when you put her on that floor to compete, she does not like to lose. And that's what separates her. You know, when you've got somebody on the floor that hates to lose, they're going to do anything they can to win. And I think you just go back to that Baylor game, the play that just continues to stick out with me, that just epitomizes what Jude is all about, is when that ball got knocked out of Baylor's hands, it goes in the backcourt, and Odyssey Sims is jogging after it with about 1:30 left. And Jude just flat out was 10 yards behind her and beat her to it at a crucial time. And all it is heart. It's heart and will and desire. And that's what Jude has. Jude's worked on her shooting. I thought she shot the ball well towards the end of the year, but at the beginning it was a little inconsistent. But she's worked on that. I expect to see her cut her turnovers down some too. But defensively, she's going to do what she does. She's just all over the floor. She reads the next pass extremely well. She's great at digging in on the post. When a post player's not paying attention, she'll come and steal it. So I'm still expecting big things again from Jude this year.
You had so much improvement out of Sarah last year. What has she done in the offseason? And
Sarah's a gym rat. Sarah, I'll give her that. She's in the gym, if not the most, right up there with any of our players. Can continue to expect to see Sarah's mid-range game improve. Her shot looks great. But I'm really challenging her in the offseason to be more of a low post player for us. Has to be willing to use her right hand on the right side of the basket. You know, just the small things. She's going to have to continue to rebound for us. You know, there was a stretch last year where she kind of disappeared on the boards, and we can't have that. So, you know, I've challenged her with that. Really going to be important for her to try to stay out of foul trouble. You know, with the new rules, it's going to be a challenge for her because she likes to sit there and put her hands on drivers, and if she does that, she'll pick up 2-3 fouls real quick. So I've challenged her on that. But, you know, she brings the ability to play inside out. She's got the ability to post up. She can score in the post, and I'm just trying to get all of our post players because we don't have a 6'4". But if you've got 6'2" that can score in the post, now all of a sudden when that 6'4" starts to guard you, all of our 4s and 5s can step out and shoot it from the outside.
What does a healthy Asia, give to the roster, and what are your expectations for this
She
year?
brings a lot of athleticism. Asia's the best that we have at getting to the basket and finishing from the wing spot, from the 4-5 spot. Rebounding wise, I think she'll give us a big boost on the boards. We're going to need Asia to defend for us in the block. She'll have to defend a lot of 4s. It's more depth for us. It's more depth when you put her in. She's had success. She knows what it takes. She's worked hard on her game. And that's really what's exciting for me. Is like I'm not putting anybody in the game that's not good, that can't contribute and bring something to the table.